Welcome to worship with Eliot Unitarian Chapel. Wherever you are tuning in from, near or far, we're so glad you're here. I am Eliot's lead minister, the Reverend Barbara Gadon, and I hope that this is a service that nurtures your spirit. If you are new to Eliot Chapel, we are an intentional community that welcomes all races, genders, and all sexual orientations. We welcome people of all creeds and beliefs, all economic circumstances, and all types of families. Our vision is to create a just world through vibrant, beloved community. If you would like to connect with us and learn more about our congregation, please look for information at the end of the service. Welcome to Eliot Chapel. Oh, sing a new song unto the eternal. Shout praise all earth. Break into music and song. Praise the eternal with lyre and song. Let the sea and all within it thunder praise. The world and its inhabitants, let rivers clap their hands. Let mountains sing in chorus. Oh, sing a new song unto the eternal. Come, let us worship. The flaming chalice is the symbol of the Unitarian Universalist faith. I invite you to light a chalice or a candle along with us if you'd like. We are lucky to have the Snyder family lighting a chalice for us in their home.
We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and energy of action.
Over and around us lies.
This is a story called The Boy with Big, Big Feelings. There once was a boy with feathery hair and a heart that was bursting with feeling. His emotions seemed bigger than anyone else's, and sometimes they made him go reeling. When playing outside on the yellowest of days, a loud truck might rumble on by. And wouldn't you know it, that big heart of his would push feelings right out of his eyes. At night, when the shadows would form on the walls and fear would steal all of his rest, those feelings of his made it so hard to breathe as they jumped up and down on his chest. Sometimes when his play had come to an end, or when things didn't go as he'd planned, the feelings would run down the length of his arms and clench when they got to his hands. His happy feelings, as big as the others, were from tickles and hide-and-go-seek, and jokes and races and stories and songs that made feelings glow from his cheeks. Beautiful things would stick in his brain and not leave him for hours and hours. The fur of a dog, a fluffy white cloud, his mama, a banjo, some flowers. But when someone he loved had a very hard day, he'd feel he'd been over-equipped to feel all the feelings as deeply as they, which would quiver right out of his lip. He wondered, why me? Why this big giant heart in a world that is heavy and kind, where all of the feelings under the sun feel as if they were made to be mine? So the boy tried to stuff his feelings deep down, to control what he thought he should hide, afraid that the others would make fun of him if they saw how he felt deep inside. Would they think he was weak, dramatic, afraid? Would they call him a wimp or a baby? If they saw the big thumping heart in his chest, would they not want to play with him? Maybe. But while swinging one day, he felt so alone. He noticed a girl feeling blue. He marveled, what's that? Could it be? Yes, indeed, her emotions were extra big too. Are you okay? The boy asked the girl. I'm fine, just sometimes I get sad. He said, you do? Hey, sometimes I get sad too. I get scared and silly and mad. The two became pals who shared their big hearts, not feeling they had to pretend when they needed to cry or to laugh big and loud, since feelings had helped make them friends. And soon they noticed there were other big hearts in the classroom, the playground, the bus, and they smiled as they learned it wasn't just them. Big emotions affect all of us. The boy and his friend slowly felt less alone with the feelings that lived deep inside them. Emotions might feel big and scary sometimes, but that is no reason to hide them. The end. Hope you like our story today, and don't feel afraid to show your big, big feelings. I love you. Please join me now in the spirit of prayer and meditation. If you wish to, you may plant your feet flat on the floor. Straighten your spine. Close your eyes and feel the breath in and out. In and out. And hear these prayerful words by the Reverend Elizabeth Buki. Spirit of life, love which holds us, we gather in reverence and thanks for you. We are grateful for the gift of another breath and for each moment of connection, beauty, and truth. Cry with us in our pain for the world. Remind us that we are loved just as we are. Remind us that we are connected with all that is. Remind us that we do not journey alone. Give us what we need just for today. Call us back to our promises, commitments, and values. Help us love ourselves and each other, and to show that love in our actions. Make us instruments of justice, equity, and compassion. Free us from all that is evil. We declare that life and love are stronger than tyranny and fear, that a world of beauty and love is coming, and we must shape it together. Let us now dwell together in a moment of silence and prayer. Amen, and blessed be.
Hello, Eliot family. I know I don't usually come and speak to you before we sing a hymn, but I wanted to give you something to think about as we get ready to sing Comfort Me. This hymn was written by Mimi Bornstein, and she writes, "This song was written on a day when I wasn't doing my life very well or very gracefully. My partner and I were being quite snarly with each other. I didn't want to be around people and was generally feeling intolerant. I was in no mood to be nice, loving, or anything of the sort. But music has always had the ability to take me out of myself or more into myself, as the case may be. The words were a combination of prayer and plea. As I began to believe the words that I was singing, I was able to lighten up and find compassion for myself, my partner, the others I was with. I continued to sing the song to myself until I felt ready to carry that gentle, compassionate energy with me." The composer believes that Comfort Me is a song that seems to work most effectively when sung in a group. We have some limitations with that right now. However, I've made a recording of myself singing multiple parts. She also encourages people to make up harmonies and to try different things with the piece, harmonically speaking. So I've added some of my own made-up harmonies, but I would invite you at home or on the go, wherever you are, to sit down and to actually place your hands, palms up, in your lap or on your knees, and to take a deep breath before you start to listen to this part of the service. I want you to find a comfortable position, and even if you are not a person who normally would sing with us, even if you're a person who feels a little awkward at home singing, I would invite you to just close your eyes, listen to the first verse, and if you feel moved, I would invite you to hum along, to sing along on a neutral syllable, to make some sort of sound. The words are easy. It's very repetitive. You don't have to know exactly what is coming up. But I would invite you to experience this hymn a little bit differently. We all can use some comfort right now. We all need to be gentler with each other and with ourselves. So I hope that you can have a little bit of a different experience with Comfort Me.
Oh for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
Our shared offering this month is split with the St. Louis Interfaith Community on Latin America, or IFCLA. IFCLA strives to put a human face on issues in Latin America. They work to end racial profiling of immigrants in the St. Louis region and the United States as a whole, end militarization of Latin America and the US-Mexico border, stand in solidarity with immigrants in the St. Louis area, educate and mobilize St. Louis community members, and promote just policies both at home and abroad. IFCLA has been one of the strongest advocates for Alex Garcia, who has been living in sanctuary at Christ UCC Church in Maplewood for the past 3 years. They have helped provide legal services and given a variety of support and knowledge to help make this terrible experience for Mr. Garcia bearable. Members of Eliot Chapel have partnered with IFCLA in many of their programs to provide education and service opportunities. We have developed a deeper understanding of immigration issues and a deeper commitment because of them. And we work with IFCLA to live out what it means to be a sanctuary church. Please give generously. There are instructions for text giving on your screen. Years ago, Robert and I decided to attend a silent yoga retreat in upstate New York over the Thanksgiving holiday weekend. Our dear friend and Robert's favorite teacher, Carolyn Bloomley, invited us. The retreat center was run by a Benedictine order of Episcopal monks, and they were specializing in hospitality. We arrived late. We had missed dinner, and we were trying to figure out where to go in this quiet, dark building. We felt a little self-conscious, to tell you the truth, entering a place that was called the Order of the Holy Cross. We were trying to imagine telling our friends just how we got there. Well, it was either Vegas or the Order of the Holy Cross. And as we were walking through these dark hallways, we were just shaking with silent giggles. We were pretty bad. But we found out where we were supposed to go, and we were warmly welcomed in spite of ourselves. In addition to the yoga classes, we found we could attend services if we wanted, which happened 5 times a day. The brothers chanted the Psalms using the beautiful Gregorian melodies. The book of Psalms is the only book in the Bible written in the first person. These 150 poems are some of our oldest texts. They have been used in Jewish and Christian worship for more than 2,000 years. Episcopalians read them every day. The Psalms accompany religious Jews on all important occasions of life: birth, marriage, illness, death, grief. Central Reform Congregation in St. Louis is now reading a psalm every day at 9:30 a.m. on Facebook Live for the healing of our nation. The Hebrews, the ancient Hebrews, were different from other ancient peoples who often believed in multiple gods who gave out good things and rained down misery on us for no apparent reason. The Hebrews had a different idea about God and about how the world worked. Their God made a covenant with humanity. Essentially, the covenant said this: obey my laws, be good to other people, and you will be rewarded. Disobey them, act selfishly, and you will be punished. So good people always get good things, and bad people, well, they get what they deserve. Life is fair, in other words. And we have a legacy from this time. We are still living this legacy, this idea, this feeling somehow that life is supposed to be fair. Walter Brueggemann, who's a renowned Hebrew Bible scholar, breaks the Psalms down into 3 categories: orientation, disorientation, and reorientation. Psalms in the first category, orientation, express a sense of delight that things are in order, that they are as they should be, that life is fair. God's in his heaven and all is right with the world, my parents' generation might have said. Ours might say, it's all good. I don't know that we made a big improvement there. Psalms of orientation savor the beauty and wonder of nature. Our opening hymn this morning, For the Beauty of the Earth, would be an excellent psalm of orientation. Just walking in the woods, we can get a sense of overwhelming beauty and grandeur. The Hallelujah Chorus has this kind of effect. I'll never forget sitting next to one of our most outspoken atheists for the Easter service using Handel's Messiah. He was transported. The Psalms are often set to music, and they are meant to be felt deeply and not analyzed. Now, these kinds of Psalms are probably the ones that we're most familiar with. They're the ones that kind of get the most play in houses of worship. But just a few poems into the book of Psalms, this whole idea of order and fairness gets blown up. And you start seeing the Psalms of disorientation. Now, you've experienced this, right? The idea that we have about life being fair just blows right up. People we love get sick and they die at a young age. People do evil things and get away with it. This past week, I was struggling. I've been struggling. There just seems to be so much death in the world, for example. There are deaths that our country is mourning. now more than 200,000 people from COVID-19. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, George Floyd, and Breonna Taylor. Deaths that our denomination, the UUA, are mourning. Alandria Williams, who served as moderator of the UUA and was beloved to many people. I learned this week that my dear friend and UU colleague, the Reverend Judy Wells, whom I've known since I began ministry 25 years ago, died in hospice. And deaths in our congregation. How could we lose dear Nancy Rubin, Rudy Hyder, Rob Rice, and Jennifer McKenzie, and Dick Wessel in such a short time period? It's too much. Psalm 55 speaks to me now. My heart is in anguish within me. The terrors of death have fallen upon me. Fear and trembling come upon me, and horror overwhelms me. More than 2,000 years ago, someone wrote these words. They were feeling me. At our retreat in the monastery, we happened upon the Vespers service where the monks were chanting a particularly difficult psalm. It was one of those about smiting your enemies. And it was jarring to hear these soft, lovely voices, these men singing Gregorian chant, asking the Lord to do truly terrible things to their enemies. Since we were allowed to ask questions at mealtime, Robert asked one of the brothers, "Why do you read that one? Are you really praying that prayer?" And I was a little surprised when he gave a kind of personal answer. He said, "The Psalms contain every human emotion. When I pray the Psalms, I acknowledge that I am not above any human feeling, even the desire for revenge." Dear friends, we do so much to avoid feeling stuff like this. Much of the time these days, I just want to eat snacks and watch TV. And I know that it will comfort me, but it won't heal me. It's good to have a container for the big, big feelings that can overwhelm us. That is, we need to have a space where it is completely safe to feel and express our deepest sorrow, our most unrelenting rage. A place where it's safe to go there. And that's why I call this sermon the Crazy Box, because you need a place for your crazy. And that's one way to look at prayer, as a language that can somehow contain us and hold us when we don't know how we will go on. We long for communion with God, or the spiritual, the transcendent. And we feel some degree of embarrassment, self-consciousness, doubt that we're even in the right place. It can feel foreign and strange, like stumbling around in a monastery after dark. For me, prayer is not a list of the things that I want delivered up to some bigger, more powerful being. It's not self-debasement either. Instead, it means reaching into myself at my most honest and scared and humble. But it's not only reaching inside, I'm also reaching outward, toward mystery, toward something larger than myself. Psalms are addressed to the Lord or just God. And I know that that can be off-putting as language, or it can simply be meaningless to a lot of us. But there are other words in the text that I find delicious and very inviting. Shekinah is a feminine word, and it means indwelling presence. Hashem simply means name, and it refers to something far beyond our comprehension. And so instead of looking at these and seeing them as this, representing this sort of club that I'm not a part of, I'm drawn in. I can think about addressing the spirit of life, mystery, love. Roberta Finkelstein describes prayer as a process of opening oneself to the possibility of falling into mystery. It is a process of reaching deep into oneself to the pools of pain and joy that defy rational description. In these pools, she says, I have found the strength to cope with losses that initially felt unsurvivable, and the fortitude to live through days of doubt and confusion that at first seemed unbearable. In these pools, I have found, to my surprise and delight, the capacity to love beyond all expectation, and the energy to pursue possibilities that I would have otherwise laughed off. But in order to do this, there has to be something that primes the pump, so to speak, something that prepares our hearts to receive, to be open, and to receive and be open to whatever comes our way, all human feelings. The psalmists didn't just get angry at life. They were angry at God. How long, O Lord? How long will you forget me forever? Denise Hopkins, who's also a psalmist scholar, says that why and how long are the two most commonly asked questions in the book of Psalms. And she says, when you hear the question why and how long, the psalmist is not asking for information. God was not living up to God's end of the deal, and they were letting him have it. I never knew that you could be angry at God and still be a person of faith. If you were a fan of the show The West Wing, you will undoubtedly remember the episode called Two Cathedrals. President Bartlett loses his secretary and longtime friend Dolores Landingham. She's such a good person, and she dies in a car accident on the way home from picking up her first ever brand new car. After her funeral, he asks them to clear out the National Cathedral. And all alone in the great cathedral, he calls God a feckless thug. And if that were not enough, he lights a cigarette and grinds it into the pristine marble floor with his heel. Now, the most amazing thing about the Psalms and prayer itself is that this is not an exit line. And in the Psalms, after a long rant at God, there comes what is called a statement of trust. The psalmist says something like, I know you are still my God, mighty and powerful and loving. I trust you to make this right. Now, after all the litany of complaint and anger and sorrow, I felt a little suspicious about that part at first. It seemed sort of like saying the thing that you're supposed to say to be a good kid. But here's the thing. As angry and dislocated and grief-stricken as we get, at some point, we do have to try to find trust in the world again. Roberta Finkelstein says, falling into mystery and trusting that something, whether you call it God or life or the good, will catch you in your free fall and bring you gently back to earth, upright and whole again. On the West Wing, President Bartlett goes back to his office and he forgets that his secretary is dead. He shouts, Mrs. Landingham! And she appears to him. I hate it when you shout. So you're having a little bit of a day, Jed. Well, Jed, God doesn't make cars crash and you know it. Stop using me as an excuse. Do I feel sorry for you? I do not. She will not coddle him. And it's the very thing that puts him back on his feet. It's the answer to his prayer. You may not have a sense of where you are placing your trust, but if you get up the next day, put on your shoes and eat breakfast, I submit that this is an act of trust, that something will restore you. Why not claim that then? Why not say it until you can fully believe it? And that is one way to look at the most famous psalm, which is the Psalm 23. I consider it a poem or a prayer of reorientation, of remembering wonder in the midst of disorder. It's a way to stake our claim that there is still and always beauty in the world, that there are still things and people that can hold us up when we cannot do it alone. May we find our way in these terrible moments. May we be reminded of joy and strength and all that we have known to be good. May we be so for one another. Amen. This is Psalm 23, the King James Version.
Psalm 23 for this moment by Kevin Tarsa.
The Lord is my shepherd.
May I remember in this tender moment that love is my guide, always, shepherding me toward ways of openness and compassion.
I shall not want.
I have what I need, really, with love at my side, above me, below me, in front of me, behind me, inside every cell of me, love infused everywhere. Just when the weight of the world I inhabit threatens to drop me in place and press my hope down into the ground beneath me,
He maketh me to lie down in green pastures.
love invites me to rest for a gentle while.
He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul.
And leads the center of my soul to the quiet, still, restoring waters nearby that somehow I had not noticed.
He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake.
And so, love, quietly, sets me once again on its tender and demanding path.
Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death,
Even when the walls close around me and the cries of death echo through untold corners, gripping my heart with fear and sadness,
I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me.
I know that all will be well, that I will be well, when love whispers near to me, glints at the corner of my eye, rests with gentle and persistent invitation upon my shoulders.
Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies.
Yes, love blesses me, even as the sources and symbols of my pain look on.
Thou anointest my head with oil.
Love blesses me from its infinite well.
My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life.
And I turn and notice that goodness and kindness and grace follow me everywhere I go.
And I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
I live in a house of love, love that will not let me go. I live in a house of love and always will.
Every night and every morn, some to misery are born. Every morn and every night, some are born to sweet delight. Joy and woe are woven fine, clothing for the soul divine. Under every grief and pine runs a joy with silk entwined. It is right, it should be so. We were made for joy and woe, and when this we rightly know, safely
Now may the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, which puts to flight all fears, which reconciles all who are separated, be in us and among us now and always. Go in peace.